So in the previous exercise, we've seen how we could key a character, put him on a background, scale the background using the transforms so that the background would fit properly with the character's positions, and put keyframes on the positions so that the character would move at the places we needed him to move. Now we're going to look at adding layers and reflections of the character in the surface of the water. So to do this, I will start a new project, File, New Project. I will call it Reflections. Now I have a new project. Here is Mr. Fisherman, and there's a soundtrack that goes with it, probably me indicated directing the kid in his actions. So now I will hover around the area of the soundtrack and I will put the soundtrack down so it doesn't bother me while I'm working. Or else what I could do, I'm going to delete this, so I just selected it and I press the key delete. When I import the visual, I can go here in my import box and say I want video only. That way when I import this piece of media, the soundtrack is left behind. So now I have my character, I need my background. I will go up in my paintings and choose a background for the fishing. I think it's this one. And as I did previously, I will just put it on top and stretch it to fit. And again, I will do the same operations. I will select my green screen, control click, lift from story, so it's on top, and I can take the painting and drag it down so it appears in the main storyline and drag him back on top. I can delete this black. I just selected it and delete. And so now I have my character and its background. So again, selecting the green screen, I will go to my filters, which is this box here with the film clips. I was in my lighting effects here. I will go to my keying, select my keyer. Now you will see I have different kinds of greens, so it's not separating exactly the same way. I may have in some instances be obliged to separate the green in two parts. That would be to split the image in two parts and separate the top and the bottom with different layers. I won't do that here because what I need here is anyways to crop out. I didn't need that green in front of him actually. What I'm going to do is go to the inspector and use my crop tool and my bottom crop and crank the bottom so I can get rid not only of the green card here but also a small portion of the box that was in front of him holding that green. So now I have the character. He's pretty big. The painting's too small. So I'll resize everything, but first I will go up on my inspector and play with the strength of my keying. I'll put it at 80%, go to my matte tools, expand my menu, and shrink a little bit my matte, soften my edge a tiny bit, and erode the mask. You saw little differences when I sort of created a better matte. So now I have a kind of a matte that I like. So -2 on shrink, 0.57 on soften. You can be like, you can put 60, 66. It's not that bad. And erode, I'm at 0.8. 0.9 is good. It's not that precise. So here I am. I'm going to select my boy, go to my transforms, scale him down, and take the XY positions. Y position, I'll just drag him down here. And to make a nice composition, I will put him in the light here. Something like this here. And maybe perhaps a little smaller to make it more realistic, and a little lower. So that is pretty good. Now I will take my crop left and clean my screen, crop right and clean my screen and my flare that was appearing here. You can see the flare here comes from the backlight. So I'll clear that flare, and top is good, but I will just make sure that I got nothing that's polluting the shot. So now I have my character in action in the water. So what I may need to do is move the water around him so it looks more natural. But for now, what I will do is duplicate him. But before I do that, I'll make sure that the position is exactly what I want. And I will move his position slightly up here, because I want more space for the reflection. So, next step, I will take the layer that's on my timeline here, and I will Command C or copy it, put my cursor at the end, Command V, so I pasted it on top. It's just him. I will drag him on top. So now you see I have double layer of him doing the exact same action. Now what I need to do is flip him so that he appears as a reflection. Several ways I could do this. I will try to find a distortion filter, and I will find a filter that flips him. That's a flop. I'm looking for a flip. This is flipped. I just wrote the word in the research browser here. So what I can do, simply flip him. Once he's flipped and my calculation is done, in other words, when it stops, the beach ball stops rotating, I will open my transforms, and I will take this top layer and flip him, rotate him 90 degrees. How do I know it's 90 degrees? Well, I just need to go here to my inspector and see on my transforms, and I'm at minus 179. So I'm actually not at 180 exactly. So what I can do here is simply go ahead and type minus 180, enter. Oh, I made minus 1000. So let me do this again. Minus 180, and so he is flipped, and now I can drag him down and set the reflection right in line with his image. Maybe eat up 1 or 2 pixels there. What I need to do now is open my scale of that reflected image and individually change the Y values so that I make him a little squished as a reflection would do because of the angle, and reposition him so I can see his whole image as a reflection. Now, for the reflection to act naturally, I will need to add a few items. One item would be to use a distort filter I will put water pane because it does create effects of watery reflections, and maybe wave. But the wave filter that will appear on top here I will reduce the amount of the wave to just a slight amount, maybe increase the offset. So that's not so bad. I can say done on the transforms here. I need a little bit more cropping because of the filters I've added. So either on the left side, yeah, that's the left side, I can add some crop. Because I flipped it, it's not the same values. So I'm just checking that my crop is appropriate. And the last thing I will do, I will go completely in the bottom of my inspector. Totally at the bottom. You see this is my top and bottom. In my opacity, I will choose a mode that will be more like a transfer mode, either screen, it's too bright, so overlay. Overlay would be good, or darken. Darken is nice. Multiply is not too bad, but it's a bit dark, so darken is okay. And I will put the opacity down to somewhere like 70%, 60%. So now I have his reflection acting as a reflection with a slight diffraction at the leg because I'm not fully in position here, and it helps to create this realism of him being in the water here. So what I need now is to have this water move a little bit also, like the way he's moving around. So I will take my background here and I'll copy it, and at the end, place my cursor at the end of the shot and paste it, Command V, and I will drag this on top so I have a second layer of background. And on this layer specifically, I will crop it so that I have only, it's very hard to see what I'm cropping because it's the same background on the same background. So I'm going to take the bottom portion and press the key V for visibility. And when I press V, it eliminates the visibility on the bottom layer. If I press V again, visibility is back. So I'll put visibility off so that when I crop my background that's on top, I will do a top, and now you see that I can see exactly what's happening. So I will crop pretty much everything except a portion of the water here, left and right. And I will scale my background to fit. So 122%. Sorry. and adjust my bottom and top like this. So now I can reset the visibility of the bottom, and you can see the bottom I have not scaled it to 122 like the other one, so I will do it now. So 122, I'll just type it in. So 122, enter. Now I have the same background portion of it on top, and I will select the top portion and set a distortion filter on it. So I set a wave filter. Now to make the wave move, I have to set a keyframe. So the amount first I will put down, place down to about a minimum, like maybe 9. And when I move the offset here, you'll see that it sort of moves the water. Maybe a tiny bit more or less, maybe. And then a little bit of movement. So I will place my cursor on my timeline at the beginning of my shot, and I will put a keyframe on offset of my wave. I will move to the end of the shot, -1 frame, using my left-right triangles, and I will move my offset somehow a few numbers, and I will play back to see how that moves. Quite natural. And on this layer of water that's on top, I will again put a multiply or an overlay, so it builds in with the other layer and creates the movement contained. I think overlay is not really what I want. Multiply, not exactly. Darken, yeah, darken is good. Now it moves pretty good, and I will simply put the opacity down to maybe 80%. So now I have water moving and him fishing on the water. And I remember that on the top layer of his reflection here, I've also have a wave filter, and I haven't animated that wave filter, so I'm going to go here, crank up the distortion to maybe 9 like the other one, and set my timeline at the beginning. Again, I will put a keyframe on the wave offset, move my cursor on my timeline to the end of the shot, -1 frame, using my left-right arrows, and I will move the offset for a few numbers to have his reflection playing also in the water. So now I have set everything in position, and now we have quite a natural flow of movement here, and a little bit of movement in the water. I could exaggerate that a little bit more and it would work pretty well, but this is, you know, for a stage 1 of working, it's not bad at all. Now what I'm going to add to him is little ripples of water around him, but those I'm going to create using After Effects. I will output them on an alpha, so it's only like little circles of water, and I will import them and add them on top. And we will do that in the next stage when I come back in class. So I will create those, put them in a Dropbox for the students to access. There will be different effects like water ripples, autumn leaves falling, snow, rain, different things like that. So I will create those in alpha, so anybody who wants added effects, we will put them on top. So that is pretty much how to create. This is a 4 layers. You see 2 layers of background. If I isolate them, V for visibility, you see this is the bottom layer of the ripple water. Then the top layer of the this is the ripple that I removed, so it's just the static background underneath. Then add to this the ripple layer. Then you have his reflection that we added on top, and that's only the reflection here. And then his keyed image on top of everything. So there it is, adding reflection and layers.